Story title: Luyanda's Reckoning, an African folktale inspired by the song Isaka II, also known as 6 AM by Ciza. Once upon a time, in the beating heart of Johannesburg, where neon lights danced longer than the stars, there lived a man named Luyanda. To the world, he was charming, generous, and endlessly wealthy. His cars glistened like mirrors of the sun, and his mansion stood taller than most men's dreams. But when the city slept, when the last beat of the nightclub faded, Luyanda's true allegiance was revealed. He belonged to a Bandla Lesemnyama, the Brotherhood of Shadows. This was no ordinary secret society. Legends whispered that it was born centuries ago, deep in the mountains of KwaZulu, where warriors once made blood pacts with ancestral spirits for victory. But as time passed, the pact shifted, no longer for war, but for wealth, power, and influence. Their law was iron. Every initiate must feed the covenant by 6 AM. For dawn was the hour when ancestors crossed between the seen and unseen, failed to honor it, and the same spirits that granted wealth would drag the oathbreaker into eternal misery. In Luyanda's golden mansion, behind corridors lined with masks of forgotten tribes, lay a room no servant dared to enter, a room they called Igumbi Lesimphilokolo, the Chamber of Secrets. Inside, black silk veils swayed in airless silence, red candles melted into twisted shapes, and carved symbols pulsed faintly against the walls as if alive. Here, by 6 AM, Luyanda carried out his ritual. Every night he prowled the city's clubs, drawing women with his sweet tongue and honeyed promises. They came willingly, chasing the shine of his world. But once inside the chamber, their destiny was stolen. He did not kill them. No, death would be a mercy. Instead, through intimacy, he robbed them of their womb's future. By dawn, the women awoke with no memory. Some found heavy envelopes of cash tucked into their bags, while those Luyanda favored more discovered briefcases stacked with money. To him, this was payment enough, compensation for whatever he had stolen. They left smiling, convinced they had been blessed, but fate was cruel. Years later, when they married, their wombs betrayed them. Their sorrow deepened with time. Some sat in children's wards, watching glowing mothers-to-be with eyes heavy from unched tears. Others heard doctors admit the unexplainable. Nothing is wrong with you or your husband, but no child comes. Some endured the shame of watching their husbands take second wives, their place in the home reduced to silence. Many knelt in prayer, whispering desperate pleas into the night. They watched neighbors cradle babies across the street while their own homes echoed with emptiness. Some faced divorce papers, their worth reduced to their barrenness, and many more wept before altars, seeking God where men had abandoned them. And worse still, misery haunted their days. Failed businesses, broken marriages, inexplicable sorrow. Their tears flowed like rivers, unseen but unending. And yet, Luyanda thrived. His fortune seemed untouchable, his life a constant parade of parties, cars, and powerful connections. But somewhere far from the glitter of his mansion was a young married woman Luyanda should have never crossed. She sat quietly in her home, her face buried in her hands. She had been married for 3 years, and still, no child had come. The doctors could find no reason. Her husband's patience was fraying, and whispers from his family had turned into open talk of him taking another wife. In desperation, she went to the only person she trusted, her grandmother, Gogo Nomvula, a respected seer. The old woman listened in silence, her wise face unreadable. Then, without a word, she knelt before a reed mat laid on the floor. She opened a small leather pouch and poured out bones, shells, and beads that clattered like whispers from another world. The air grew still. A bowl of burning herbs sent thin coils of smoke spiraling into the air, forming faint shapes before fading. Gogo Nomvula's fingers hovered over the fallen bones before finally settling. Her eyes narrowed. Her voice, when it came, was low and steady. "Your unborn children have been taken," she said. "Taken by a man you once unknowingly followed into darkness." The young woman's breath caught in her throat. Memories she had buried years ago rose like ghosts. Nights of loud music and flashing lights. A time when she lived only to feel among. Back then, She was what people called a street babe. She was reckless, bold, hungry for status, and the thrill of being wanted by men like Luyanda. Tears streamed down her face as Gogo Nomvula told her what had truly happened, and how her mom's future had been stolen during one of those nights. She could barely recall. "I thought I was winning," she whispered, shaking with regret, "but I was being emptied." Gogo Nomvula rose, her beaded anklets jingling softly as she moved. "You cannot change the past," she said, her voice firm, "but you can demand that what was taken be returned or revenged." The next dawn, Gogo Nomvula began her journey. When the sun was just rising, Luyanda stepped out of his mansion with a glass of whiskey in his hand, expecting another day of triumph. Instead, he found her, an elderly, barefoot figure standing at the gates. Her shadow stretched long across the driveway. Her leopard skin shawl fluttered in the wind. She raised her knobkerrie and planted it into the dust, her voice calm but heavy with meaning. "The thief may dance for 99 days, but the 100th belongs to the king." She did not wait for him to answer. She simply turned and walked away, leaving behind a silence so heavy that even the birds seemed to stop singing. Luyanda did not take the warning seriously. To him, Gogo Nomvula's words were nothing more than the bitter ramblings of an old woman. He laughed about it later, with his friends over expensive whiskey, mocking the sight of her knobkerrie striking the dust. But the day would come when those words would return, no longer as memory, but as a nightmare he could not wake from. A day when the 100th sunrise would finally belong to the king. Among the Brotherhood of Shadows, Ibandla Lasemnyama, there was one law above all: never use a ritual on a woman bound by ancestral protection. But Luyanda had grown too arrogant to care. In his hunger for more power, he stopped verifying those who were brought before him, and one night, he made the gravest mistake of his life. He led into the chamber a woman whose ancestors walked with her. He did not know that her womb carried not just life, but vengeance. When the ritual was done, the silence that followed was heavier than usual. The shadows seemed to cling to him longer. The candles sputtered, as though choked by unseen hands. But Luyanda shrugged it off. He told himself he was untouchable. He did not know that the chamber that had made him powerful had now turned into his prison, its walls beginning to remember every cry, every bargain, every blood price. And so, the tale ends as all dark folktales do, not with peace, but with a question. When the 100th day came, Luyanda awoke to silence. No music, no laughter, even the birds outside his mansion had vanished. That was the morning the ancestors came. The warning he had dismissed now echoed in his mind like a drumbeat, each word louder than the last. The shadow of Gogo Nomvula's knobkerrie striking the earth flashed before his eyes again and again. When the ancestors rise to claim what is theirs, what will become of Luyanda? Will the cries of the women he had emptied gather into a storm that drowns him? Will the spirits of Ibandla Lasemnyama turn on their own, feasting on the man who thought himself their master? Or will the very dawn he worshipped become the hour of his final undoing? Only the ancestors know. What will be his fate?